let's have a look at a video which pretty much explains cricket at the international level and what's played on the big screen.
Cricket is a sport that is played by millions and loved by billions of people from all corners of the globe. Cricket has been played for centuries, with the first international match occurring way back in 1844. From that time, it has continued to develop into the vibrant and exciting modern game that is played today. Cricket is a bat and ball sport that involves two teams with 11 players on each side. The aim of the game is to score more runs than the opposition. One player, the bowler, bowls a hard leather ball at speeds of up to 150 kilometers per hour at a player from the opposing team, who then attempts to hit it with the bat in order to score runs. Cricket is played on an oval-shaped field, and in the middle of that field is the pitch, which is where most of the action takes place. At either end of the pitch, you'll find these things. They're called wickets, and they're made up of 3 wooden stumps that support 2 bails. They're important, but we'll come back to them shortly. The batting team has 2 batters at a time in play, whilst the fielding side has all 11 players on the field. A batter scores runs in 2 ways. 1. They hit the ball far enough that it crosses the outer boundary of the field. If the ball has bounced, it's worth 4 runs. If it clears the boundary on the full, it's worth 6, the maximum number of runs that can be scored from 1 hit. 2. Through the 2 batters running the length of the pitch in opposite directions whilst the fielders are retrieving the ball. 1 length of the pitch completed equals 1 run. The aim for the fielding side is to restrict the number of runs scored by the batting side, whilst trying to get the batter out. There are 11 different ways a batter can be out, with the most common being bowled. The bowler bowls the ball, the batter misses it or deflects it by accident, it hits the stumps, and the bails come off. Caught. The batter hits the ball, and one of the fielders catches it before it hits the ground. Leg before wicket, LBW. Exactly what the name suggests. The bowler bowls the ball, the batter misses it, and the ball hits them on the leg in line with the stumps. Run out. The batter hits the ball and runs, but the fielding team retrieve the ball and throw it to the stumps before either batter has reached the other end. When a batter's out, they leave the field of play and another teammate replaces them. Once all the batters on a team are out, the sides swap, and the fielding team then have their turn to bat and attempt to beat the overall score set by the first batting team. Put simply, the winner is the team with the most runs after both sides have batted.
So, as you can see, cricket is really exciting. It's grown from a game traditionally known as a long, boring, stretched out game, and it's really now compacted into something really exciting in what's called T20 cricket, which takes place over 3 hours. That still might be long, but what we're going to do today is we're really going to focus on this game of continuous cricket, which will help you to package it within your 40-minute periods. As well, get everybody involved, get everybody active, get everybody participating, and regardless of skill level, have a good time. So before we go on, every section will stop and we'll have a quick question and answer. But if you do have a question, as Ronald had mentioned, we're really fortunate to have Sunil Kandor, an Australian certified coach from York District School Board, who's in the chat and able to help with any questions you might have on the spot. So before we go any further, I'm going to be talking about the pieces of equipment, which, again, as Ronald said, can be offered to your school at no cost, and it's exactly what you need, to play at any level, really. So this is the bat. This is the top of the bat, which is called the grip, and the handle. This is the bottom of the bat. This is the face of the bat. So this is the striking area. This is where we want to hit the ball with. As you can see, looking at it from this way, it's quite flat and broad, about 4 inches. On the back of it, you'll notice a hump, and that's the traditional shape of a cricket bat. Cricket bats are wood, striking leather ball, as in baseball as well. So this hump is to give it a bit more extra power behind your shots. So that's the reason for that design, if anybody was curious. Again, we're going to be trying to strike the ball with the flat part, which is called the face of the bat. The ball's pretty self-explanatory. When you do get these, you'll notice there's a seam on it, and this is the same shape and look of a real cricket ball, but it's plastic and it's rubber and it's really soft, so it prevents injury. We're also going to be using tennis balls in our demonstration, and these are called the wickets, these 3 sticks. The idea here is that the pitcher, who we refer to as the bowler in cricket, bowls the ball. They are trying to force the batsman to miss the ball and hit the wickets. So that's probably the main way of getting out. The other ways of getting out that we'll be talking about in our continuous cricket demonstration is a catch. So being caught out, just as in baseball, if you hit the ball in the air and it travels to a fielder without touching the ground, they've completed a catch and the batter is then out. Moving into our continuous cricket demonstration, I want to talk about the gym setup. And again, these can be, the size and the lengths can be adapted according to the size of gym that you have. So there's a graphic that we can use to show you the setup. And all that you would need for this setup is a set of wickets, 3 cones, a bat, and a ball. And again, that's all included in the SEMA cricket package. And these are plastic, so very safe to use. And the setup would include the wickets placed at the back of the gym, so we could, pick a line to drop it on. And then to the right and left of the wickets, about 20 feet, would be 2 cones. Directly in front, at about 30 to 40 feet, where the pitcher or the bowler would stand, marked by the orange cone in the graphic, at about, as I said, 30, 40 feet. And again, these measurements can be wider, they can even be shorter. We're in a smaller facility over here, we use a smaller area, but we still get the idea across. Now, if we go back to that graphic of the gym, the batter will be standing in front of the 3 sticks. And again, the batter's job is to hit the ball. That's the number 1 job that the batter has to do. And then after contact is made, the batter must run. Or if the batter misses, the batter must run to either cone on either side. They can pick a cone and get back in position for the next ball. So it's really fast paced. The bowler's job, which we'll see in a couple of minutes, is to underhand the ball and try to hit the wickets. And the fielder's job is trying to get the ball back to the bowler. It'll make a lot more sense when we see the actual video, but we'll look at the next graphic, which will give us a better picture of the setup. And there we have it. The batter's set up, ready to hit. The bowler, which is about 30 feet away from the batter, is there to underhand the ball. And the fielders should be spread out right around the gym. The hitting is 360, so you don't have to hit in a particular area. You can hit it anywhere. Even if you miss, you'd be expected to run. And to the cone and back equals 1 run. And we'll move into the video presentation, or video demo rather, of the continuous cricket. And I'll explain as we're moving along. So we have the bowler. The bowler has the ball in his hand, and he's throwing to a batter, which is kind of blocked in this video, but he'll be underhanding the ball to the batter, and fielders would be around the gym. And if you could see to the left and the right of the batter, instead of cones, we use stumps. And the batter's just trying to hit, run back, and the bowler's trying to throw the ball as quickly as they can. Now in this situation, we've given the batter, I think, about 5 or 6 hits each, and then we're switching up just so that everybody would get a chance. We'll just watch it for a couple of seconds more. Right, and so there are adaptations to this, and we'll show the next video actually, which will be a better angle, I think, and explain it a bit better. Great, now the bowler's moved out of the way so we can actually see the batter hitting. Again, fast pace. The fielder's job is to get the ball back to the bowler, and the bowler generally would be the coach or the teacher. And then we're rotating the field. So we're incorporating a lot of cricket skills and teaching the game, running between the wickets. We're teaching catching, fielding skills. And so the batter just got out there, and that was an example of being caught out. If we can maybe reload that, and I spoke about 2 key dismissals in the game of continuous cricket. And that's one, if the batter swings and misses and the ball hits the wicket, they'd be out. The next batter would come up to play. And then the catch, like we just saw a batter hit the ball in the air and it was caught by a fielder, and then the batter would be out in that instance as well. So maybe we'll have another look at it here, and up in the air and caught by the fielder, and the batter would be out, and then we switch batters. So we can give small goals to the player. For instance, in 4 balls, how many, regardless of getting out or not, if we want them to get a good chance to bat, we can say, in 4 balls, let's see how many runs you can get. That's one challenge. The other challenge is that if you pair them up into teams and then they make a total, and then which pair has the most runs at the end is the winner. The other adaptation to this particular game is that we'll get 1 hit each and you have to rotate. So this is a good way to warm up as well. It's a great way to get everybody involved, like every ball becomes an event. And that's the same concept as continuous cricket, but we're changing every ball. And we can give a time limit to the group to score amount of runs, that means rotating. And we can have a look at that video as well. So very fast paced, you gotta hit, striking, throwing, a lot of movement.
Oh my God.
and we can imagine in a bigger facility where, this is a batting cage facility, but in a bigger gymnasium, the ball is going to travel to different areas, which helps for people to run around a bit more, which becomes really exciting. We can also switch up the pitcher. It doesn't have to be the teacher or the coach. It could be a player is getting involved throwing the ball. Another adaptation for older groups that I find is really exciting is that they get to incorporate the cricket skill of bowling, which we'll be talking about shortly. So that's another adaptation for maybe a bit more experienced players. Players have tried the game out a bit more and want to be challenged. I think that's a good adaptation to bowl with the straight arm, which we'll be talking about shortly. So in terms of continuous cricket, again, the equipment required is minimal. I've done sessions in school that didn't have any equipment at all, which I don't think you would have the problem with now, but we used a chair for the wickets. We used a tennis racket for the bat, and then of course, cones are cones, and tennis balls. Tennis balls work great. So you can be pretty versatile with it. Again, the distances can be shortened. They can be even longer if you want the students to run a bit more. And if the bowlers are the students themselves, if you want to improve the accuracy, you can even put them closer than 30 or 40 feet. So at this point, I'd like to take any questions. I can't see the chat, but if there's any questions that we can I can help with right now, I'd be glad to do that. So we're taking them live, right? That I'll respond to them? Okay. Yeah, you can unmute yourself if you have a question.
So we have a question in the chat. Is there a specific way to hold the bat?
Okay, perfect. And we're actually that's a great way to lead into the next part. But yeah, we're going to talk exactly about that, about the batting, a bit more about batting technique. What I've found with basically with going to the schools at from a younger age group all the way to high schools, is that I've focused less on technique. Although it's a great thing to know how to hold the bat, but any way the player wants to pick it up and swing, as long as they feel comfortable, I think it's fine. But great question, and technically we'll come into some of those batting skills right now, and how players can be more flexible and versatile with their shot selections. Sunil, can I ask you a question as a school teacher? What adaptations have you used with continuous cricket that were really effective?
Bigger surface area. I see in the chat that even if you don't have a cricket bat, you could use a tennis racket, and then you can modify it with even a smaller surface area to challenge them more, like a baseball bat.
Yeah,
To strike the ball.
exactly.
Then
Keeping your eyes on the ball, learn.
Progress from underhand to overhand.
Perfect. Yeah, so I think those adaptations are really good, and what I found, another thing that works is, especially with the younger groups, using the Nerf sponge ball. It's a bigger ball to hit. Even using a tennis racket with that. So those are things that we can adapt, and I'm sure you're pretty experienced about. And then going into even smaller balls, making more challenging. So moving on from there, I think what we'll do is now move onto batting, and then the cricket technique. I think that's really important. And what we'll do first, as it was the question that we want to address, is the batting grip. Is there a special way to hold the bat? And we'll have a look at a little clip here that can illustrate that. And while it's up, I'll just speak on that. So if you see in the batting grip, the batter's right hand. So the batter's a right-handed batter. And the batter's right hand would go to the bottom of the grip, and the left hand would go to the top of the bat with a small gap in between, or no gap is even better. But if you notice, there's a V formed by the batsman's thumb and index finger. And that particular grip style or method helps us to be more flexible in our wrists. And for later on, if the players do decide to play a bit more cricket, helps us to be more versatile in shot selection. If we can come back to my video right now, I can show you that the batting grip here, the same, I'm a right-hander as well, so this is my right hand at the bottom and my left hand on the top, and they're both forming V's here, as we can see, and I want to be in a position to be very flexible and pliable with my hands. And what's important is that cricket, you can hit 360. So I can hit straight, I can hit that way, I can hit to this side, I can hit to what's called the leg side. I can even hit behind me. I can go like that, I can play shots all around. So 360, it's important for run scoring and helping players to hit everywhere. And I think it's great because even if you don't make perfect contact and it goes where you don't want it to go, you can still have a chance of making a run. So that's something pretty cool in cricket. So just to come back to the stance, we're looking at the grip, and the player should be able to do this with the bat, like almost like stomp down, or I don't know what you would say, but be able to make this motion with their hands. And then we'll move into a visual of the batting stance. And again, it's a right-handed player. What you'll notice is the feet are evenly spaced probably shoulder width apart. The bat starts down and then goes up, as you can see in the second and third picture on the top, where the batter is in a perfect striking position, looks pretty balanced. The bat's nice and high and able to swing into a downward motion, which I'll talk about next. But if you see the batting stance in the bottom, the knees are slightly bent, pretty relaxed, in a side-on position where the left shoulder is pointing directly to the bowler, which in cricket helps us to be in a good position to strike. And what I'll show you now is the reason why we get into this side-on position. And I'll show you here with these wickets. So, as we saw in the video, the ball bounces, for the most part in cricket, in front of the batter. And the idea with the ball bouncing in front of the batter is to create an extra dimension of difficulty for the batter to hit. So, in my batting stance, something pretty similar to the player we just saw the pictures of, I want to stand in front of the wickets. And the idea is that as a batter, I'm not only trying to hit the ball, I'm also trying to protect these. So the bowler's job is to hit these, I'm trying to protect them. And as we saw, the bat went up and it came down in a straight motion. So the idea behind that is that we're trying to protect the wickets, and as such, if the ball is coming straight at it and I'm hitting it with the full face of the bat, in this motion, I have more surface area that I'm covering. If I'm tending to play like this too much, and the ball has an opportunity to get in and hit the wicket. So for the most part, when the ball is bowled straight, we were expecting the batters to hit back straight, almost like a golf swing. So up to down. And from the side, it looks like up to down, like that. Up to down. There's a great drill that we use, which again requires minimal equipment. And what we'll do is maybe show the graphic and then I can get into this. So we need 3 cones, 1 which the batter will hit off of, and then 2 which will be like a goal area. So 3 cones, a ball, and a bat, which is pretty much the same equipment that was required for the continuous cricket game. So what I'll do is we'll get right into the activity, and I'll be able to show you this particular drill. And as I said, we'll have 3 cones, and we'll move right into the activity here. So I'll just move this aside so it doesn't confuse anybody. But let's imagine that at those 2 red cones, we had a line of players, maybe 5 players or even more if you have bigger classes. I'm sure you have a lot more, but we're different groups. And we place a cone in front in a triangle formation, and the player's job is to swing down through and hit it through the cones. We can give the players 2 hits each, or if you want to make it move fast, give them 1 hit each. And now we're practicing precision target hitting, which is really important cricket skill. And the player will then here move their foot to the ball, hit through, and if they've gone through the cones, it's a point. The fielder that was standing at the red cones in that line will now come. I'll drop my bat and we'll make a rotation. So it's a pretty simple drill, again involving minimal equipment, easy setup, it's pretty safe, and we're learning a really key cricket skill, hitting the ball straight through. That's really at a very beginner's level. I mean, again, I've done this with high school players that are just learning the technique, so that's fine. And our progression to this particular drill is, instead of the fielders just standing up as fielders, they can throw the ball underhand to me, and then I'll be waiting and trying to do the same thing, hitting it through the 2 cones. A further progression to that is throwing the ball overhand, more realistic in terms of actual cricket. So throwing the ball overhand and then coming to me and again trying to do the same thing. We might want to widen the goal area out a bit more so that it's a bit easier to hit, and then sort of narrow it down. But it's a drill that, although it's very simple, is very interesting, and players love that, hitting a moving ball. So in brief, that was batting. I'm pretty sure we might have some interesting questions regarding that, whether it be other drills that we can do. So I'll just open up for questions there. Another quick drill, while maybe if you're thinking about the question, another quick drill that we do, especially with the younger players, is creating, and which really helps, their sort of ball handling, if you will, is just to enforce that we're trying to use the face, and then they'll walk around and they'll hit it here, and they'll walk around the cones, and then you can give multiple cones to do that. It really helps with the wrists, and enforces that full face of the bat. So we're using the face of the bat to manipulate the ball, which is a really good drill. Another one is just the keep-ups, and this might be harder for younger age groups, but keeping your eye on the ball and then maybe following a path. So that's another drill that it requires a bit more sort of coordination, but again, really challenging and fun. Sunil, have you any particular drills that you can recommend that I haven't spoken about?
I'd just say at the end of class, you could have like a home run or 6 hitting contest.
Oh yeah, that's always pretty fun.
Yeah.
Going into it, like home run, 6 runs in cricket is pretty much the equivalent to home run. And the idea is that the ball goes outside the boundary without touching the ground, so it flies. And I think one thing that we've done a lot with our junior groups is using the bigger ball, so it's a bigger hitting, it's a bigger target, bigger ball, and then a bigger surface area and a tennis racket, and the tennis racket actually gives it more punch, so it actually flies a lot farther and gives that real feeling of accomplishment, I think, and again, it enforces the batting swing and making contact, which is important in these sports. So if we don't have any more questions about batting, we can move into bowling. And then one of the key things here is that when we're talking about bowling, is that the difference is that in real cricket, the ball is delivered with a straight arm. So while in baseball, we know we're throwing with a bent arm as a pitcher, the difference in cricket, well, a couple of differences is that there's a run-up involved. So players run in and they get into a position and then they bowl with a straight arm. So it's quite challenging, but we have international bowlers that bowl upwards of 100 miles an hour. And plus the ball actually bouncing off of a hard turf wicket creates a huge dimension of difficulty. The ball curves, and in real cricket, the ball is allowed to be bounced and come at the batter's head, which is a tactic used in international cricket, but something that we probably don't have to think about, but just to let you know. So there's a graphic that I use to help explain at every age level, and I think it's really beneficial, where we see the top hand on the blade of a windmill pointing upwards, which is a great position to be in as a bowler, and then the bottom hand, which is holding the ball, so which we call the bowling arm. So this is a right arm bowler, and as the top arm goes down, the bottom arm goes up, which is the bowling arm. And if we think that, the blades are straight, they cannot bend, it's a great way to illustrate this point of keeping your arm straight as a bowler. And I guess what we'll do is just, the basic idea is that with the top hand pointing up like this, as it goes down, my bowling arm, if I have a ball in my hand, that might illustrate it a bit better. So here, as it goes down, that arm stays straight up. So in the front view, it would look like this. So we'll move into a video which illustrates the windmill style of bowling, or the windmill model concept. Straight arm. So what we do here is quite simple. All we need here is tennis balls. We're pairing everybody up, and it's an easy enough concept to get across, I think. One important thing we can say is that when the ball's in your right hand, you can rock back. If you look at the players, they're rocking back as they deliver. And so you're rocking back here, and that'll help create momentum and get the ball across without using other levers. Now, there's an adaptation to this, or a progression, where we want players to now lean back and bang the ball into the ground. Before, as you saw, they were just tossing it over to their partner on the other side. Now we were asking them to bounce the ball. And what that helps you do is to project your body forward and get over and bend your head over into the delivery stride, which is really important in the real bowling action. So if we have a look at that video, we can see now banging in. There's a bit more action there. And what we call follow through. So that head, the knee is going into the ball, and it's actually quite similar to what we're trying to achieve in real cricket. As I said, there is a run-up attached to this bowling action where the players run in and get into a position and then bowl. And that's what we saw in real cricket, like in the first video. And maybe we can have a look at one of our young students who's really picked it up from the windmill. She progressed to this bowling action. This is obviously, she just started right before the lockdown and learned this within literally a week. From a stationary position and then moving into a run-up. And as you can see, in cricket, you're not allowed to pass the wicket that is on the other end where the bowler is. She, if we have a chance to look at it again, we can see that there is a slight run-up and then the delivery with the straight arm. So that's a huge progression, and I mean that's ideally where we want to go with these drills, is to move players from a stationary windmill action to the run-up and then into the bowling action. So, I mean, at this point, I'll just show you while we have the chance the way to grip the ball. So the basic way we're going to demonstrate the bowling grip is, and as I said earlier, there's a seam on the ball, which may not be visible here, but that's a seam, and we want to get our two fingers, put them on the top and thumb on the bottom. And the players will run in and be able to bowl now and create a bit of seam position, which helps curve the ball and glide through the air without friction. So it's just a quite simple grip, two fingers on the top, thumb on the bottom, and then your supporting fingers being the ring finger and your pinky on the side. So that's the basic bowling grip. In the manual, we've created a manual for teachers as a resource, and all these things that I'm speaking about, the grip, are explained a bit more in depth there with some good pictures in the manual. So that's available for you. I think Reno can send that out after. And at this time, I'll stop and take any questions that you might have about bowling.
Derek, I don't see questions regarding bowling, but
Right.
there's something that came up that I kind of forget when I switch from cricket to baseball or softball. It's holding
Right.
on to the bat when you're running.
Oh, right.
Holding on to
Yeah.
the.
Yeah. Yes. Perfect. I think, yeah, if
Can you
we,
explain?
sorry, go ahead. So,
Can you explain that as well? But before that, would you choose a different bowler each time they switch? Question from the
yeah,
chat.
I think I would like to have different bowlers right through, basically, just to give everybody a chance, right? So we'll mix it up. Although in real cricket there may not be that change every two bowlers. There is a quick video also that I forgot to mention that we'll run right now, which is an activity, a bowling activity, which is a relay. So they're in the windmill. We have it set up about 50 feet apart. They're bowling, trying to aim through the cones first of all, and then if they hit the wicket like we just saw there, that's a bonus. And it's a relay. So we can have different setups, like groups set up like this, maybe 3 or 4, with 8 players in each at least. And doing the windmill, very practical, keeps people moving, and that's a great drill. But yeah, so no, we'll talk about the running with the bat, like right after the fielding section of this presentation, because I want to address that. That's important to know, and I can probably show an example of that.
Okay,
So we'll move in. Mhm. Perfect. So just to move into fielding, I want to talk quickly about a couple of basic things here in cricket that I think are very similar to baseball and other sports. We want to emphasize this athletic position with fielders. We want to get them into a position where they can move left or right, can go down quickly or go up quickly. So the athletic position is used in every position in cricket. So that's a key thing to note. In this position now, what I want to tell fielders is that when the ball is coming below my waist, I want to go fingers down, pinkies connected. And what we're doing there is we're creating more surface area. We're creating a barrier almost. And we're protecting our fingers as opposed to doing this, where the ball might come and hit here. So this technique is important, fingers pointing down if it's below your waist. And if it's above your waist, we want to go fingers pointing up. And here, how I have it, is my thumbs overlapped and my 2 index fingers together. So here, I'm in a position, I'm in an athletic position, it comes low, I'm down here. If it's up, I get up here and I'm able to catch the ball with fingers up. So those are 2 key things that we might want to get across to the fielders when we're teaching about fielding. We can roll a clip and have a quick look at a simple exercise. We have 2 balls going within a pair. So they're focused to keep their eyes on the ball, and they're really keeping it simple, but it's really good activity. We can adapt that, saying to throw the ball up as a full ball, a catching ball, so that they'd be catching instead of rolling the ball, but we're practicing ground balls and then catching. There's another activity which we can have a look at. And this is a relay, very similar to the bowling relay, except the coaches or the players there standing by the stumps are underhanding the ball back. Players are underhanding and running around. So getting them moving, and the relay is always, I know it's a very common exercise, I guess, amongst different sports, but it keeps everybody going, and we're learning the skills. The progression there is maybe a catch, taking a catch, and having the ball come in at 1 bounce. There's another drill that we use, and it's pretty simple. You need 4 cones and a target area and 4 balls. And what's happening here is we have our young student getting in a good throwing position, moving from cone to cone. We're timing her. So the target area is those 2 sticks, trying to get in between. And as you can see, she gets into a really good throwing position. So that's another activity which we use to help throwing to a target area. And in cricket, when you're an outfielder, you're trying to throw either to the bowler or you're trying to throw to the wicket keeper, the back catcher, to get batters run out. Now, speaking of that, Sunil had spoken about the batters running with the bat when they're going for a run. So in baseball, as you know, you hit and you throw the bat and you run. In cricket, when you hit the ball, and in cricket you're running back and forth, in real cricket, you swing and you run with the bat. What the advantage of that is that if we can go pan out, when I'm running to the other side, I don't have to run and get right into the base. If we're looking at this little line as the baseline, I don't have to get my feet in there. I can just go like this and turn around and run. So I've just almost stolen like about extra 6 to 8 feet that I don't have to run. So that's why running with the bat is advantageous. And in cricket, you don't have to, but everybody does.